Hey, it's Melissa. Welcome to my $100,000 stock experiment, year 3, week 41, ending January 22nd, 2021. This isn't an endorsement to purchase any stocks that I bought, nor an endorsement to purchase stocks in general. I'm on a mission to become a great growth stock investor, and I'm letting you watch me on my journey. Hopefully you can learn from my mistakes and celebrate my successes. According to the IBD at investors.com, the market is in a confirmed uptrend. The S&P 500 index is up 1.9% for the week. I added that pink diagonal line, which is the 8-day simple moving average. This index seems to be following that nicely. Sometimes it's below, sometimes it's above, but basically trending up with that. And the 50-day simple moving average, the red diagonal line, is also moving up. The daily price action this week was also below the 1% from the high to the low each day, except on Wednesday when it did have that big swing up. Last week I shared with you my recipe for success. I'm trying to buy the right stock at the right time. I want to get to a full position, which for me is 20,000 in my Melissa method experiment. I want to feed my winning stocks with a $4,000 add-on buy, and I can do that at 3 weeks tight when it's up 12 out of 15 days or a 4-week flat or square box pattern. I'm going to try and take profits on the way up for stocks that I'm holding a long time. If I'm in and out in a few weeks, I won't be doing that. I want to get out at the right time, and then I want to watch for a re-entry. I'm also working on not holding so many stocks. My goal is to limit myself to 12 stocks, both in my Melissa method experiment portfolio and outside of that. Right now I own some stocks that aren't in my experiment, and I'm working on getting those stocks into my experiment so I can share those with you. All of the stocks that I bought this week I already owned in other accounts. By having fewer stocks, it's going to allow me to focus on those and not spread myself too thin. In the past, I have been treating my B1 as a full position and then the B2 and B3 as add-on buys, but I wasn't doing that consistently or at a certain percentage point. So now my full position is going to be the 20,000, and I'm working on making my B2 when that's up 2.5% and my B3 when my initial purchase is up 5%. And then I'm going to have those add-on buys too. I did make several purchases this week. I made a B1 and a B2 in Apple, and I made a B1 in Desktop Metal, IPOE, and PayPal. If you remember, I didn't make a full B1 purchase in NVIDIA a couple weeks ago, so I added to that this week, so I have a full B1 purchase on that. And then Tesla, I made an add-on buy, my first $4,000 add-on buy. Every time I purchase a stock, I set a stop limit order at 8% below my purchase price, plus I look for a better floor above that 8% limit. Stock symbol IPOE. I heard about this SPAC that acquired basically SoFi, which is the student loan refinancing company. They have an interesting model, and I like SoFi, so I bought this SPAC, and we're going to see how it does. It did miss on my tweak screen. The EPS has a 7, not a 75, and the composite rating is only 36, not 90. But this is basically like a stock going public, but instead it gets funded by this SPAC. So we'll see how this does. As I mentioned earlier, all of the stocks that I bought this week, I also hold in other accounts. The purchase for the Melissa method experiment is indicated by that green line and the intersection with that orange box. And then I left the orange box on there where I've made my other purchase in another account that I hold also, so you can see where I bought it before. I've held IPOE for 4 days and it's down 4.5%. Desktop Metal, stock symbol DM. This is also a SPAC that I've held in another account since the 8th. That position is up 21%, so I'm giving this one a try in my Melissa method experiment as it reached a new high. I gave it a wide floor. I gave it 12% floor, which allowed me to stay in it, but now I've moved that floor up to 8%. I hope it's not too tight. My tweak screen doesn't like this one either. The EPS on Desktop Metal is a 7, not a 75, and the composite rating is a 60, not a 90. I've held this stock for 4 days and it's down 1.3%. PayPal Holdings, stock symbol PYPL. PayPal's up 5% for the week, but only 1.7% since I purchased on Wednesday. The tweak screen on this one had fails with the relative strength at 84, not 95, and this isn't in a top industry group either. And I did raise my floor on this up to the 31-day exponential moving average. I've held PayPal for 3 days and it's up 1.7%. Apple Inc., stock symbol AAPL. My husband loves Apple. I've been buying it in his account since October 8th. You can see all my buy points in his account with those blue arrows. Then for the Melissa method experiment, I bought it on Thursday where that green arrow is, and then I made my B2 on Friday. Apple has earnings on Wednesday, I think, but I didn't take this into consideration when I bought it. Some people do take earnings into consideration. I typically don't. MarketSmith says that it wasn't a cup pattern, but I thought it was a cup with a handle, and it just crossed above the pivot point. I had set an alert that triggered and told me to pay attention and go buy this stock. The tweak screen doesn't look so good on this one either, though. The relative strength is 79, not 95. The accumulation distribution is a C+, not an A or a B, and the composite rating is an 87 and not a 90. Hopefully, those will come up with time. And I did raise my floor on all my buys, my husband's buy and my buys, up to the 50-day simple moving average, which is at 125.58. I have 2 buys in Apple. My B1 I've held for 2 days and it's at 3.2%, and my B2 I've held just the 1 day and it's at 0.7%. I went back and looked at my floor of 125.58, and my B2 would have been more than an 8% loss, so that floor doesn't work for the B2. When I buy $10,000 worth of a stock and I set my floor at 8%, my potential loss is $800. Then when I make a B2 of $6,000 and set an 8% floor, my potential loss is $480 plus $800, which equals $1,280. But I want to try to avoid taking an 8% loss on both my B1 and my B2, so I raised the floor on my B1 to the 50-day simple moving average, which is the 125.58, and then I raised my floor on my B2 to that 31-day exponential moving average at 129.13. I don't know that I can raise it like that for all the stocks, so making my B2s and my B3s, but I did it with this one. This brought my potential loss, if both floors triggered, from the 1280 with an 8% loss on both to 1075. So I'm taking less risk with more invested in this stock. Every week I review my charts. NVIDIA closed at 548.50 on Friday, and it's been stuck at this price before. If you remember, on January 16th, I didn't have quite enough for a B1, so I bought what I could. But on January 22nd, Friday, I was able to buy the remaining $10,000 position for the same price as my original purchase 2 weeks ago. So now I have a $10,000 B1. NVIDIA is in this long consolidation with the 4 moving averages I track all converging. I'd like to see NVIDIA break and hold the 550 and keep moving up. The relative strength is lagging on NVIDIA. It's a 78, not a 95. And I did go ahead and leave my floor at 8% on this. I've held NVIDIA for the 2 weeks and it's down 0.1%. Logitech International, stock symbol LOGI. Logitech was up 3.3% this week, but on Tuesday it had a big drop and almost hit the 31-day exponential moving average. This was related to an earnings announcement. My B3 sold on Tuesday for an 8% loss, and if you remember, I didn't have a B2 in this, only a B3. Last week I had said I wanted to see Logitech hold 100, and it did. It closed the week at 104.20. I did leave my floor where it was last week, since on Tuesday it missed that floor by 22 cents on my B1. My B1 I've held for 3 weeks and it's up 4.1%. I like to add to positions as stocks prove themselves. Tesla, stock symbol TSLA. Tesla was up 1.8% for the week, and it was slightly below the S&P 500 1.9% gain for the week. I did make an add-on $4,000 buy on Tuesday when the stock had been up 12 of the last 15 days. And I did leave my floor at 758.81. Tesla's going sideways and volume is drying up. It also has earnings coming up on Wednesday. I don't think Tesla should drop below 805, so I set an alert at this point that will wake me up if it drops below that. But like I said, I didn't move my floor up to that point. I just set. I have 4 buys in Tesla. My B1 I've held for 10.5 weeks, and it's up just over 101%. My B2 I've held for 9.5 weeks, and it's up just about 69%. My B3 I've held for 8 weeks, and it's up 46%. And my add-on buy I've had for 4 days, and it's up 1.2%. Don't let a double-digit gain turn into a loss. Taiwan Semiconductor, stock symbol TSM. TSM had another good week. It was up 3.1%. It did have a gap down on Friday, but the price action from the high to the low price on Thursday and Friday was not very wide, and volume is picking up. It's still above the 8-day simple moving average, which is great. I did raise my floor up to that 16-day simple moving average at 121.24. I have 3 buys in TSM. My first one I've held 11 weeks and it's up just about 41%. My B2 I've held for 6 weeks and it's up just about 24%. And my B3 I've held just under 3 weeks and it's up 14%. Roku Inc., stock symbol ROKU. Roku is up 3.6% for the week. It did pull back to its 8-day simple moving average, and I moved my floor up to the 16-day simple moving average at 388.01. I think it should hold 400, and I set a price alert to wake me up if it falls below 400. I'd like to find a spot to buy some more. I have 3 buys in Roku. My B1 I've held for 10.5 weeks, and it's up 81.7%. My B2 I've held just under 9 weeks and it's up 53.6%. And my B3 I've held for 7 weeks and it's up just about 46%. And I sold a few stocks this week. I sold my B1 in Corsair, my B3 in Logitech, all of my RVP, and all of my YETI. RVP, I didn't have a floor on it and I just went in and sold it on Friday. I didn't see myself getting to a full $20,000 position, and I wanted to free up my money to use to get to full positions on other stocks. RVP is holding its 50-day simple moving average, that diagonal red line. If you're the type of trader who likes riding this line, this might be a stock for you. But I got out. My B1 I held for 6 weeks and I lost just about 6%, and my B2 I've held for 5.5 weeks and I lost 8% on that. Corsair Gaming fell apart and triggered my floor on Wednesday. It had been down 4 days in a row, closing at the bottom of the range each day. I held Corsair Gaming for just over 2 weeks and I lost 7.6%. YETI Holdings Inc., stock symbol YETI. On Tuesday, I saw that YETI had gapped down below my floor. I logged in to cancel my sell order so it didn't trigger on the way back up, but it triggered before I could do that. Even though YETI went back above my floor, I still feel like those 2 big gap down days were scary, and I really wasn't interested in putting this on my buyback list. When I reviewed this chart on the weekend, the thing that stood out the most was that volume on Wednesday down at number 2. There was lots of trading going on, and the price regained Tuesday's loss. YETI did close the week below the 16-day simple moving average, and I really like my stocks to be above this 8-day simple moving average. But I had a great gain in this. I'm happy with where I got out. I had 3 buys in YETI. My B1 I held for 9 weeks and it was at 20.6%. My B2 I held for 7.5 weeks and I had an 11% gain. And my B3 I held for 5.5 weeks and I did have a loss on that of 0.2%. Here's a current holding bar chart for the stocks that I've held for 11 weeks each: Roku, Tesla, and TSM. Each bar represents 1 week and it's the gain or loss of my initial $10,000 purchase. Here's the current holding bar chart for the 6 stocks that I've held for 3 weeks or less. The dashed black line is the $10,000 initial purchase, so stocks that are below that have a loss and stocks that are above them have a gain. And then the yellow line is the 9,200, which is the 8% floor for my stocks. The exception here is NVIDIA, where I put an S on that first green bar for NVIDIA. I've held it 2 weeks, but the first week I didn't have a full $10,000 position. You can see that Desktop Metal and IPOE have losses here, and that Apple, Logitech, and PayPal have a gain, and NVIDIA is basically flat. Each week I like to look at my current dollar value gain, and I sort this with the lowest value on the top. So I have 3 stocks that have losses. IPOE, I have a $450 loss on my $10,000 purchase. Desktop Metal and NVIDIA, I also have losses in. PayPal, Apple, and Logitech, I have small gains in, and then I have really nice gains in TSM, Roku, and Tesla. I also look at the weekly percentage change and sort that with the lowest value on the top. The stocks that did not beat the S&P 500 for the week, I put that red box around them. IPOE, Desktop Metal, and PayPal, that's showing the gain not for the whole week, but since my purchase. My benchmark shows that after 2 years and 41 weeks, that my $100,000 has grown to $180,406 versus the S&P 500 for the same time period has grown to $144,617. My change from last week to this week, my existing holdings grew $3,713. The stocks that I held last week and sold this week went down $2,084 in value, and my new holdings this week have a loss of $11. Circled down at the bottom in blue on the left-hand side is the S&P 500 weekly change. It's up 1.9% this week versus the Melissa method on the right-hand side, circled in blue, is up 0.9% for the week. My experiment started mid-April. For year 3, the S&P 500 for my experiment year is at 37.7%, circled in the middle in yellow. And then on the right-hand side, the Melissa method is only up 24.7%. So the S&P 500 is beating me for my experiment year 3. My industry and sector breakdown shows that I'm still most heavily concentrated in autos, chips, and leisure. And I have a bit of cash, $14,000 cash that I can add on buys or make a new purchase. Thanks for watching. Keep an eye out for my next episode, or better yet, subscribe to my channel, The Melissa Method. Don't forget to hit the bell if you want an alert when I post a new episode.